All right, we'll call this meeting of the Redevelopment Commission to order. I'm Benjamin Horvath, Vice President
Recording in progress.
of the Commission, filling in for Dennis Jordan. Our first order of business, approval of the May 3rd, 2024 meeting, special meeting minutes. Did everyone have a chance to have a look at the minutes? Any corrections or edits? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Fowle?
Aye.
Mr. Goebel?
Aye.
And Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, economic development area updates. Bill, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, we'll start with the budget information. We'll let Frank provide an update on that.
Included in your packet is a list of transactions for the month of April, as well as account balances and open POs. I will note that at the meeting on the 3rd, you did appropriate some money, but that happened in May, so that will be reflected in the next budget packet you get. And I'm happy to answer any questions on any of these items.
Would it be possible to include a column with the project that it's tied to on these
Absolutely.
transactions? I think it might be kind of helpful to review. Other than that, looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The next item on your agenda for action is item I1 or BI1, Resolution 2024-08. This is a resolution of the St. Joseph County Redevelopment Commission approving funding for the reconstruction of the Nespejani Ditch. The resolution before you today is really kind of a extra step, if you will, in the process. Last year, we approved a memorandum of agreement between the Redevelopment Commission. Actually, in 2022, we approved a MOU between the Redevelopment Commission and the Drainage Board to provide funding for the relocation of the Nespejani Ditch through the General Motors site. And so we're at a point now where we have bid the project. We have received a bid. We actually received 4 bids. The low bid on the project was C&E Excavating in the amount of $3,483,896. The Drainage Board at its meeting yesterday awarded the contract to C&E. And so what we're here to do today is approve this MOU to provide the $3,483,896 to move the project forward. So this is a project, when I started with the county in 2015, they were talking about regional detention and a Nespejani ditch and things like that. So from September of 2015 till yesterday, I mean, it's a long time we've been working on this project. So it's an exciting day. The bids came in actually lower than the engineer's estimate, which is, always an exciting day. So we would just ask for your approval of this MOU, please. Or this resolution, I'm sorry.
Resolution, okay. So for this, we accepted bids at our last meeting, and this is just a memorandum.
So it's actually, this is a Drainage Board project. So the Drainage Board opened the bids, accepted the bids, and awarded the bids.
Okay.
And all our role is just to provide them the cash to do the project.
Gotcha. So
And the reason we did it that way versus the way we typically do is we were able to, as the Drainage Board being the project manager of the project, apply for a special exception through state law for the ditch relocation. Had we done it ourselves, it would have taken probably an extra 2 or 3 years of permit review and things like that. So, but the Drainage Board has an exception to allow us to move the project and process forward.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Fowle?
Aye.
Mr. Goebel?
Aye.
And Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Next item on the agenda, professional service agreement, Supplier Village Access Road and Utility Extension Project, Christopher B. Burke Engineering.
Yep. So this is a professional service proposal from Christopher Burke Engineering to design and provide construction management or bidding services for the development of the Supplier Village Access Road. And so in the packet, there's actually a site plan that shows this road As part of the General Motors site, General Motors will have two entrances to their site, one at Fillmore Road, and that's an established road, and then south of that, about 660 feet, will be the main entrance for all the employees. And so that drive goes west of Larison into the General Motors site. To the east, the county owns two parcels of land and may at some point in time acquire more property. But what we have decided to do is to take a roadway east of this employee drive, so we're going east, and that would open up land, our land and other parcels of land for future supplier village. So one of those first suppliers that's landed and hopefully gets approved tonight by council is Kirk Concrete. So Kirk Concrete to build a batch plant here as part of this site. So what we'd look to do is just build this little stub road into our properties and then again future properties to open up maybe 4, maybe 6 development sites for suppliers that are interested in coming to the area. So the proposal before you today is just the design side of those services. The total not to exceed amount is $129,500. We think this is a great project. Again, it puts land that's been taken off the tax rolls, can put it back onto the tax rolls, and we're excited about the project. So staff would ask for your approval of this contract, please.
Any comments or questions? Do we have a motion to approve the contract as presented?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Pfeil?
Aye.
Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right. Next item on the agenda, AM General Economic Development Area. Proposed authorization for Redevelopment Commission President to sign letter of financial commitment for CN EWR Connection Project, CRISI Grant 2024.
Okay, at the commission meeting on March 19th, the commission approved a request to jointly file a CRESI grant with Patriot Rail. As part of the grant submission, a projected cost of the project scope must be submitted. The grant, if awarded, will be split between federal funds and non-federal funds. It would be the responsibility of the Redevelopment Commission and Patriot Rail to cover the non-federal share. The grant application is due on March 29th. And since we will not be meeting in between now and then, we are asking the commission to allow the president of the commission to sign the grant authorization letter for financial support. We're asking for this letter to commit to funding no more than $250,000. The amount of the funding will be dependent upon the grant that is issued, if the grant is issued at all. We anticipate the contribution because we don't know what the final participation amount would be or what the grant would be. We don't anticipate it being the 250, but we're asking for the 250 as a safety net. Any questions?
One small correction. I think you said March 29th. I think that you meant May.
You're right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, May 29th, yes.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Pfeil?
Aye.
Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. No update on the Wyatt Economic Development Area. No update on Northwest Cleveland Road Economic Development Area. Next agenda item, Solar Project Economic Development Area. Do we have an update?
Yeah,
on
that
project?
actually should say no update.
No
That's
update.
what happens when you don't proofread your cut and pastes.
All right. Next agenda item, additional business.
None today, sir.
All right.
The redevelopment commission's on board with this project tonight that's being discussed, right? We've taken votes on that and so on. Would you update us?
There actually hasn't been anything directly in front of the redevelopment commission. I mean, the redevelopment commission has approved a contract with Lawson Fisher to do design work on Douglas Road. They've approved the Northeast Trunk Sewer Study, which is a study to extend sewer service up into the St. Joe Farms area. They've approved a contract with the Antero Group to do kind of the first phase of utility study and master planning up into Capitol Avenue corridor, and then this Chrissy grant application. So 4 different contracts or events have been approved by this body, but not actually a direct action or discussion about the St. Joe Farm site itself. So I guess by inference, we support the project based on other actions.
So what is the sequence on that? You said as to official approval of the project.
For the St. Joe Farm
That's
site?
right.
So if it goes through rezoning tonight, then it starts a process of coordination with City of Mishawaka, toll road, or not toll road, NDOT, as they look at maybe a traffic study in that corridor and working with county engineering on a traffic study. So there's a whole bunch of pre-development activities that will happen. And then if all those tests get met, in coordination with the Drainage Board as it relates to Jude Creek, then the project could move forward to the next stage where we talk about development agreements and incentives and things like that. We've not done anything to this point with a development agreement or incentives. We're not nearly that far along yet.
Well, as you say, by inference, this board is favorable to the project.
Certainly, and favorable to that corridor, yep.
Right.
What should we foresee our board approving or considering for that project?
So I think there's some other things that could come before you. There could come an extension and expansion of the development area, probably the AM General EDA. Still trying to figure out if that's something that we do or don't do. I mean, it's going to require some coordination with Mishawaka, maybe some additional study work contracts, professional service proposal contracts for water, sewer, maybe roadway studies, things like that. So I think there's still a lot of pre-development type studies that could be coming to you guys over the next 6 months to a year as that moves forward. A lot of it probably similar to some degree as we did out in the IEC.
As I understand, it may be unofficial, but the kind of investment of projects over $1 billion.
It's in the B neighborhood, yeah, so which is kind of a nice neighborhood to be in, so, but.
It's a neighborhood we weren't in for about 20 years when we were fighting $1 million here and $1 million there. So, you know, when you get into the Bs, you've got a project that can help the people in this place have a job. It's a wonderful place to live. You can find a job. A lot of our kids have to leave here because they can't find a job here. So jobs are the way our children find a place in this county.
Certainly a huge opportunity. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Dan Caruso, 305 Compton Street, New Carlisle. I just have several observations. Speaking about jobs, Mr. File, I've observed personally the work that's going on the Amazon site in New Carlisle. I'm going to say almost exclusively, all the people working on that site are from out of the area.
Yeah, that's because the local trades don't have enough people to man the site.
The local trades haven't been offered the
It's such a wonderful site that the local people don't have enough people to man it.
I guess
know
my
that
3
because I
minutes
have a
is off.
background in
I can
construction.
talk now? I can have a discussion?
Please continue, Mr. Caruso. Continue.
Thank you. The local trades have plenty of workers. They haven't been asked to participate in that project. It goes against what has been talked about by Mr. Schaller from the beginning. This is all for local labor. We're going to get local labor working locally. We're going to keep the money local. Well, not only does this situation keep taxes from being taken in the county and goes to their home, wherever that happens to be, whatever county or state. So we're being robbed twice, from the employee withholdings, from the out-of-staters or out-of-countiers working in that area, and by the TIF district, which is robbing from our local taxing entities. So I'm looking for my taxes to be reassessed here shortly to make up for the shortcoming there. The commissioners just signed or just agreed to a land maintenance agreement with K&M. anybody who's been out there, and I'm out there every day, has noticed that the GM property, if my property looked like that, there'd be somebody knocking on my door telling me, clean it up, or we're going to get somebody out here and clean it up at your expense. KM, I understand, is a big company, and that's why they were brought on, to handle the big projects. Pay them to go. If GM isn't going to keep that property clean or looking decent until they decide just what they're going to do with it, then at least clean it up. The trees are out of there, that's fine, but the pile of sawdust is still there. There's still random piles of dirt that nobody has touched for months. And the weeds are, I can't get on the property. I'm going to estimate the weeds are at least knee-deep. Could they please maintain the property? Also, I'm tired of cutting my own grass at home already this year. I want to know, would I have to go through code enforcement or go through zoning to rip out my grass and put down a concrete pad and paint it green, kind of like Ozinga did over there in the Amazon project?
So your time is up.
I was interrupted.
I gave you extra time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the room who wishes to comment at this time? Moving on, I think I see one hand raised on Zoom. Steve, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Steve Francis, Jude Lake Drive up in Clay Township. I have a couple comments on the ditch relocation project. As you know, there were many comments made to the Army Corps of Engineers, substantive comments about the construction of the ditch and various elements of it that certainly would be grounds for appeal. So I think that moving forward so quickly with both the bid awards before the permit was even issued was ill-advised, and I didn't have a chance to comment today. But I do also wonder whether the Amazon project up north of that is going to drain into the ditch, if that's the case, or if there's any kind of possibility of that, then I think we'll be watching to see whether that ditch really truly does improve environmental services and drainage services there. There's a huge lake up there, or there was on the Amazon site. They're already building without permits at this point in time. I don't understand that. Number three, I think we'll be watching very closely since the environmental attributes were degraded by restricting the buffer to 35 feet around the ditch, not adding back any real wetlands capability for flooding and filtering, and those could be pursued. Since the St. Joe Farms property was brought up, I think there was a really raucous public meeting because no questions were taken last week. The county, the folks who live up there seem to be very visibly opposed. I live on Jude Creek. There are some very strong concerns. And in terms of the RDC being involved, there's no TIF available there. Moving the TIF up from AM General, reaching up 2 to 3 miles into that area, I think is ill-advised. And in fact, making the rezoning without an EDA or a TIF kind of calls into question the process, because you had an EDA out there before any of the rezoning occurred, which started with a 900-acre plot of land for rezoning to industrial around the Ion Tech plant, is now encompasses 11.5 square miles. So before you jump on board, I don't think it's the purview of the RDC at this point in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment, sir. Any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, Mr. File.
Aye.
Mr. Goble.
Aye.
Mr. Horvath.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
So no more